from HPI, Paranormal Investigation, over here. He's in the house. There he is. I just wanted to give you a little history about the building first. And I'm sure my dad will correct me like 4 times while I'm saying this, because I never remember anything right. But this is the oldest building in Jamestown. It's 1854, so that is 5 years older than the Emporium and the National and all the places that you see with the number on the front. Anyways, it was built as a hotel, and in the 30s, there was a fire. It burned down the 2nd story, so we're kind of left, I call it a story and a half, because it's so cute the way it is right now. Next door is the hotel currently, but that was the hospital. So if you could just imagine, this was the hotel and that was the hospital, and this is kind of tiny, but you know, they didn't really need a whole lot of space back then, I guess. So that's really all I know about the building. It's made out of rock and brick, and it's beautiful, and it has this great vibe about it. First time I saw it, I just knew I had to do something here, and I didn't know what, so this is what it turned into. So I hope you like it, and let's find out some more stuff about it. Paul.
Thank you so much, Tina, for having HPI over here. And I'm just kind of curious on how many people actually believe in ghosts. Okay. And it makes kind of sense to believe in ghosts, because if you think about it, Einstein said that E equals mc squared. So matter can be converted into energy and energy into matter. So on the quantum level, we are pure energy. So if we actually die, let's say, and Recurlian photography done in Russia, they actually seen a mist come out from the forehead. And that mist is pure energy, the aura. And just think, little baby over there is very receptive to this thing, and it's a newborn baby. And this energy is floating around, and just like downloading a program, this information goes into the little baby, and this little baby, when it grows up, thinks it's John Henry, a blacksmith from 1870. And that's what reincarnation is all about. Now, when I got into the ghost hunting thing, when I was a child, I lived on Effie Street in Fresno. All kinds of crazy things were happening to me. I got pushed into a heater. This entity kept on calling my name, trying to coax me to go into the orange grove, and I didn't do it. I was frightened, I was crying, I was just totally terrified. As I grew older, I started doubting myself. I said, well, maybe, just maybe, those were night terrors. Maybe I didn't even witness the paranormal. But what I found myself doing was reading books on the paranormal. I got interested in everything, UFOs, Chupacabra, Bigfoot, everything. And that's what we do. I've been on something like 800 investigations, messed up my foot here, chasing a Chupacabra, turned out to be a coyote. So I learned my lesson on that one. But anyway, while living in that house and reading all the paranormal books, I became very knowledgeable about paranormal. So during this time, you know, if you have anything that you want to ask, just raise your hand and I'm going to tell you how it is. But anyway, as a paranormal investigator, something led me to being a paranormal investigator. And I got into military intelligence. I found out the military knew something about UFOs. And that's the reason why I got into military intelligence. I actually wrote an article about that. And they said, Paul, aren't you afraid to be arrested? Well, if they arrest me, then they're admitting to the fact that what I'm saying is the truth. So no, I've never been arrested. So that's a long story in itself. But as a paranormal investigator, I was a skeptic, okay? Sure, I heard the EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. And I said, maybe those are voices from another room. Then one day, the former owner, Shannon, she sent me on an investigation to Citrus Heights. And I've been there before. I didn't get any EVPs and stuff like that. And I said, Shannon, I said, this place isn't even haunted. And she goes, yeah, it is, because I've been there and I got some EVP. So I said, okay, fine. And I took 15 scouts, those are ghost hunters in training. And I put 5 in one room, 5 in another room, and 5 in another room. And you heard that story already, but I'm going to tell it again. But so don't get bored. But anyway, 10 of the scouts were actually falling asleep, and 5 in another room. All kinds of stuff was happening. As soon as I walked through the door, you can actually hear with your ears a girl giggling. And I said, wow, can you hear that? And they said, yeah, we're recording it. And I heard her giggle again. And I said, that giggle is coming from the corner of this bed. I can't see her, but she's sitting right there giggling. And I can hear her. And I heard the giggle again. And I put my head down. And I go, hello. And she goes, hello. I go, holy sh. You know what I said? So anyway, I said, okay, this is it. I said, I actually now believe in ghosts. I said, let's get all the scouts in here. So we got all the scouts into the place, and we did like a little seance. You shouldn't be doing seances, but anyway, we did a little seance anyway. So we did a little seance, and you could hear a series of knocks. I mean, pounding. Boom, 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 boom. And then the walls actually sounded like they were ripping apart. Sounded like something out of Hellraiser. And before I knew it, all 15 scouts, these ghost hunters in training, were running out the door. And I said, they were scared to death. I said, get back in here. We got to reconvene. We got to do this again. I said, this is a breakthrough. I'm actually witnessing something paranormal. So anyway, we got all 15 people in there. We're doing our little seance thing. We have 5 walkie-talkies on the floor. Mind you, they're all on the same channel, but one walkie-talkie turns on and it's a man's voice, and he goes, get out! They're all running out the door again. Then the occupant looks at me and she goes, Paul, she goes, I have to live here. We need to stop this. I go, okay, out of respect, we're stopping it. So I sent all the scouts home. She told me I could spend the night in that room. So I spent the night in the room. She had the video camera going on. And I'm sleeping through this whole thing, but there was a little tap on watching the video. You hear a little tap on the headboard, and then you can hear a girl say, Paul, Paul, Paul. She knew my name. And there was a man's voice kind of mumbling, blah, 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 blah. I couldn't understand what he was saying. And it was a child moaning at the foot of the bed. And I slept through the whole thing. So when that happened, that's when I became a believer in things paranormal. Now, okay, we get some cases that are like, okay, we get a lot of cases that are demonic. Usually, it's a mental thing. Okay, we get over there and they see demons here and they see demons there. And I was starting to doubt the demonic thing. But I got to this one house, and I happened to be in the area. It was an older woman. She was about in her 60s, and she was living there with her goddaughter. Her goddaughter was maybe around 30 or something. So anyway, they seemed like really sweet people. And I said, okay, I got nothing to fear. I'm a guy, you know. So I said, okay, let's check out your demonic thing. I said, what's happening? They said, around about 3 o'clock in the morning, we want you here at 3 o'clock in the morning because a black mist appears and we're being sexually assaulted. I said, really? And they showed me bite marks on their chest area and on their legs. Well, I'm starting to think, well, maybe they did it to themselves. I'm thinking logical here. And so I'm hanging out with them. I'm writing the story. And when I say I write a story, I'm working on my 15th book. So if you guys have any paranormal stories about this place, I would love to hear it and get you guys in my book. As I was talking to her face, and I swear on the Bible on this, but it started distorting right in front of me. And I just looked at her and I said, am I going crazy here? You know, I haven't been drinking or anything like that, but her face was actually distorted to something evil. She no longer looked like a sweet woman. And I asked her, I said, how are you feeling right now? She goes, I'm feeling evil. I go, okay, how are you feeling evil? She goes, you know, I have visions, Paul. I said, what kind of visions? She goes, I have visions of killing men. Well, I'm the only guy in there. And I go, okay, well, how do you kill these men? She goes, I have visions of taking a baseball bat and just bashing their brains out. Okay, we're talking demonic here. Okay, this is no ghost thing. And I'm getting a little bit nervous now. About 15 minutes later into the interview, I look into the living room and the goddaughter is holding a baseball bat and she has this maniacal type smile on her face and she's going around and around in circles with that baseball bat. I said, holy crap, I need to get out of here. So I looked at her and I said, you know, your story is so fantastic. I said, this thing will probably make CNN News. I said, I need to get home and get it to my publishers. She goes, are you going to come back? I go, yeah, I'm going to come back. I didn't come back. I was so scared I left my cell phone there and I took off like crazy. So later on, this lady, she goes, where's my story? She was like stalking me and everything else. The police got involved and everything else. They said that she wasn't a serial killer, but she did spend some time in a mental institute. And one thing with demons, they attack three things. Okay, people like are alcoholics, people who use drugs, and people with mental issues. This lady has a mental issue, and it was definitely, I believe that it was demonic because what I saw, like I said, I could swear on a stack of Bibles, her face was distorting. So it totally freaked me out. Now, when we do our investigations, how do we determine something's paranormal? So how many people have seen pictures of orbs? Okay. Now, are orbs instantly something paranormal? What do you think? Anybody want to say anything? No. Not always? Okay. And the reason why it could be almost anything. It could be lint, it could be dust, it could be skin flakes, it could be light refractions, it could be dewdrops. So how would you determine an orb is actually something paranormal? Does anybody know?
Designer.
Designer, very good. So,
the level in which that it glows. It is way above the normal light. It has more energy, it has a nucleus, and it's stronger. It's a stronger light. It's not, it gives you, if it's light, it gives you an idea where to go. Paul?
okay, most ghost hunting groups will go with that, but HPI does something that's a little bit stronger. What we look for is intelligent movement. And for an example, and Shirley Hasselbrink, that lady right there talking, okay, she's one of my HPI investigators, and she's a psychic. And talk about a good psychic, she's a really good one. So if you want to know what's going to happen to you in your future, if you're going to marry Joe Blow, that's the lady to talk to, okay? So anyway, we look for intelligent movement. So let's say, and this has actually happened with me, I placed a monitor in front of me, and I kept on seeing this one orb floating around. It's this same orb. I'm looking at it, same design, everything. It's the same orb. And supposedly the entity was named Emily. And I said, Emily, if you're a ghost, sit on my lap. And I saw that orb floating, and it hovered over my lap. And I said, that is intelligent movement. And we just had a recent case where another lady, I think her name was Nadia, she was a ghost named Nadia. And this one investigator goes, I'm feeling so drained. He goes, I don't know, Nadia's really sucking the life out of me. So I said, okay, Nadia, if you're really sucking the life out of him, appear above his head. We took a picture, and the orb is over his head. Okay, intelligent movement. We go, Nadia, I go, if you're a ghost, kiss him. We took a picture, and there's this huge orb on his mouth. So Nadia was kissing him. So that's intelligent movement. Something like that I can deem as a spiritual containment field. Another example, we have what is called designer orbs. And designer orbs have intricate type designs inside of them. And you probably all see this, they have like a nucleus. Sometimes if you enhance it, you can make out a face. Well, I was over in Del Paso Heights, and I took a picture of the backyard. And I got these 2 designer orbs, and I enhanced them. And when I enhanced them, it looked like dog faces. And I looked at Shannon, who was former owner, and I said, Shannon, I said, what do you see there? She goes, I see dog faces. I go, me too. So I went back to the client, didn't say anything. I said, what is it you have in your backyard? She goes, oh, I got orange trees. I go, okay, that's really cool, orange trees. I said, what else you got back there? She goes, I got 2 dogs buried back there. I go, really? I said, take a look at these pictures and tell me what you see. She looks at the pictures and she starts crying. I go, why are you crying? She goes, those are my 2 dogs. So she confirmed it, she validated it, and that's something I can go ahead and say and deem as paranormal. And also too, you hear about the EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, right? And a lot of times they leave the recorder on all night long, and then all day long, they're listening to the recordings. I don't have that kind of time to spare, okay? So how we do it in HPI is we'll take our recorder, and I got my recorder here, and we'll simply record, and we'll say something really simple like, is there anybody here? I'll pause, give the entity time to talk. I'll stop it and play it back, and sometimes you'll have something, I'm right here. And that's actually happened to me. This is something I can't prove because I got no witnesses or anything like that. But I was at this very haunted cemetery in Folsom. I have the car window rolled up. I'm sitting in the cemetery by myself. There's no people around. And Folsom Cemetery is supposed to be really, really haunted. So I'm sitting there, and I go, are you here? Are you here following me? Whatever. And I can hear my voice. I'm recording. And are you here? Blah, blah, blah. And it says, I'm right here. And it's like, wow, this thing's in my car. There's nobody around, but there was proof, an EVP. I'm sitting there. I know in my mind that it was fact, that there was a ghost there. And with 800 investigations, this is a rarity, but out of 800 investigations, I've only seen 4 full body apparitions. That's it. 4 full body apparitions. A lot of times we utilize a lot of things. One thing is when you go into a place to investigate, it's not good just to investigate and go, yeah, you got the devil here, and take off. Okay? You need to help the people. So we have a multitude of cleansers. And those cleansers we have, like I do a Catholic blessing. And that's usually very, very powerful. We have metaphysical cleansers, we got spiritual cleansers, we have a Greek Orthodox cleansers, Christian cleansers, Wiccan cleansers. So whatever denomination you are, Apache, we have Choctaw Indian. So whatever type of cleansing that you might need, we can provide it. It is very important to provide cleansing for those people because they need help. When I get phone calls on the paranormal hotline, it's people who actually need help. They are terrified. We went into one location, I think, Big Al, you went with me?
Which one was it, sir?
The one with the gang member?
I think so.
Okay. We went to a place, right? It was called the 18th Street Crips apartment complex. And when we got there, we looked like a gang because I had my team there. We got our little HPI shirts and everything else. And the Crips were over there looking at us. I go, man, we need to get out of here. We're going to get shot. And finally, the occupant came out. And he had a big old tattoo on his neck and tattoo on his face and everything else. And he was scary looking at himself. But he just looked at me and goes, oh, you guys, HPI, you're the man. Come on. And so he goes, I got your back. He goes, man, they're with me. He goes, leave them alone. I was like, wow, okay. So we went into his apartment complex. This gang member, this hardcore gang member, he spent something like 15 years in prison, everything else for stabbing somebody. He was crying like a little baby because the entity in the house was tormenting his little baby. So it's like, wow. Okay, I'm looking at this guy, hardcore dude. Looks like he could take me out in about 2 seconds, but he's crying like a little baby because his baby's being tormented. So we were there, we did the investigation, we did validate that something was there, and we did a cleansing, and he was very, very happy because we actually got rid of the entity. Miguel, were you at that one?
I wasn't at that one, but you're talking about the one in South Sac.
Yeah, South Sac.
I remember that one though. 18th
Street Crips, so. Yeah, I was trying to recruit some of the Crips into HPI, but they didn't want to go. But anyway, before I continue on, at any time you guys have anything you want to ask. Oh, you mentioned something that can ghost follow you. Remember?
Yes, I remember. You probably are speaking to a lot of people who have had experiences and believe in this. So I'm going to ask a question as a skeptic. How do we skeptics? You're talking about, to other people who have had an experience or seen something. If I'm a skeptic, how do you kind of convince me that there is something that's very hard for me to fathom?
The only way I could actually prove anything to you, you would have to start going to our investigations. So, I mean, if anytime too, I think you have my business card. Anybody here who wants to actually go on a paranormal investigation, you're very much welcome. So, and a lot of times we go to a place, we'll debunk it. We'll find out natural causes. Not everything is paranormal. And, okay, let's say out of 10 investigations, maybe out of the 10, maybe about 4 are something paranormal. And like I said, out of 800 investigations, I've only seen 4 full body apparitions. But the one thing is though, when you do see something paranormal, you'll never forget it. It'll stay in your mind. It stayed in my mind like for 6 months when I had the incident where the little girl says hello to me. That freaked me out. I mean, I wasn't scared, but it totally freaked me out. And it's so funny is because I've been doing this so long now, ghosts don't scare me. But they put me in the most haunted room over at the Leger Hotel. Is it the Leger Hotel? Am I saying it right? The Leger? Huh? Is it the Leger? Okay.
It's only a joke.
Oh, okay.
Ledger.
The Ledger, okay, Ledger Hotel, okay. So they gave me a free room to stay in the most haunted room. They wanted me to write something about the hotel. So I'm staying in the most haunted room in the Ledger Hotel. And maybe about 2 o'clock in the morning, my bed shakes. And I said, wow, okay, I got up, I'm taking pictures, I'm trying to get EVPs. I said, if you're here, show yourself. You shook my bed. Come on, show yourself. And nothing happens. Okay. So then I'm kind of disappointed. And I said, okay, I'm going to go back to sleep. So I go back to sleep. Around maybe about 3 o'clock in the morning, there's footsteps, heavy footsteps going right to the edge of my bed. So the entity is right there. And I said, okay, you're there because I heard your footsteps. You came right to the edge of my bed. Now show yourself. Show me the money. Nothing. And what happens is that when you project fear, that's one of the strongest energy points that entities feed off. They feed off your energy. But if you project fear, I mean, that is food of the gods. That's what they want. They want you scared. And like with me, most of my investigators were not scared. So it's like we're boring to them. It's like the big bully in school. If you ignore him enough, he's going to walk away. So, but as for ghosts following you home, okay, do you think ghosts, okay, you go to a haunted place, are ghosts going to follow you home? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Actually, do a blessing. Don't do it. There's no middle ground. Protect yourself.
Okay, most parapsychologists say that ghosts really don't follow you home. And the reason why they don't follow you home is the only way they can follow you home, okay, and there was a case, remind me too, before I go on, sometimes I get off track, let me tell you something too about living ghosts, okay? Okay, so remind me and say, Paul, you forgot about telling us about living ghosts, and I'll tell you about that. But anyway, what happens is, okay, like this one case where this lady, she goes into an antique store and she buys a grandfather's clock. And through psychometrics, the energy is attached to that grandfather clock, to the deceased person. So when she brought the grandfather's clock home, her house became extremely haunted. Someone says, get rid of the grandfather's clock. So she did. And her house wasn't haunted anymore. So when you go into a place and there's energy attached to an object, you're bringing home that ghost. If you don't take nothing home, you shouldn't bring home any ghosts. And you go into haunted places all the time. Okay, we're in a haunted place now. I don't think any ghost is going to follow me home because I'm not taking anything out of the Gypsy Shack. My pockets are clean. You can check, Chris. But I wouldn't take anything out of here. But if you took something out of here, didn't belong to you, and let's say the entity is attached to it, you're taking a ghost home because they want to know what you're doing with it. Okay, now living ghosts. Okay, does anybody here know what living ghosts are? Okay, 1974, over in Chicago, Illinois. I need some water here. Hold on. It's fun walking around with a cast. But anyway, over in 1974, Chicago, Illinois, this couple moved into this home. And around about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, they would see an apparition of a man. This man would walk over to the couch, and an apparition of a woman would appear. And the man would start slapping the woman, and then it would vanish. And this happened several times. And one day, they were actually invited to a block party. And the host of the block party goes, yeah, we do this every year. You know, I've been hosting this, blah, blah, blah. He goes, you can look at our photo albums of our past events. So they're looking through the photo album. Oh, this is cool. Then all of a sudden the lady looks at this one picture and she goes, oh my God. And he goes, what's wrong? She goes, that man, that woman, those are the ghosts in my house. That man appears and he walks over to the couch and he slaps the holy crap out of this woman, and then they dissipate. He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, they did live in your house. There was a lot of domestic abuse there. The police were there all the freaking time. He says, but they're very much alive. He says the woman lives 5 blocks down the road. The man lives out of state. They got a divorce. So what they're actually experiencing, and if you project negative energy, strong negative energy, or strong positive energy, you're leaving residual. That is residual energy. So what they're witnessing is residual energy. Those are living ghosts. So you yourself can be ghosts someplace if you ever projected, and you always leave trace amounts of energy. But some of that stuff can't be picked up on. But if you're doing something, you blow off some steam with your spouse, and I mean, you're really, and believe me, my ex-wife, she used to blow off some steam. I know she left residual all over my house. I had to bless that house many times over. But anyway, I'll talk a lot about a woman with a temper. But anyway, if you blow out some negative energy, some hostile energy, you get into a fight with somebody, a big argument with somebody, you're leaving strong residual energy that's going to haunt that place. Positive energy. Okay, we went to Deal Meals over in Old Sacramento. About 3 o'clock in the morning, they hear shuffling of feet, they hear laughter, and they hear disco music. Well, Deal Mills back in the 70s was a disco club. I mean, I'm 59, so I was out in the disco. So my residual energy is probably kicking it with, doing a Michael Jackson move or something like that. So that residual energy continues on to this very day. And they hear around about 2 o'clock, 3 in the morning. And I talked to the employees and they said, yeah, they're all saying the same thing. We hear disco music, Paul. We hear laughter. We hear shuffling of feet. People having a good time. All that great positive energy is projected into the atmosphere and it lives on. Energy is forever. It's forever. It's never going to go anyplace. And even if there was no intelligent ghost, you have a lot of residual energy out there. But the only thing is, I've seen intelligent movement. So I've seen the orbs and all that stuff. So I've seen them moving. I'll tell an investigator, place their hand on the wall and take a picture. And I said, okay, if you're a ghost, appear by his hand. There's this orb right there by his hand, intelligent movement. And I go, okay, let's do it some other place. Put your hand over there. And there's an orb right there, intelligent movement. So that tells me something. That's just not dust. Oh, yes?
Well, how come you need to take a picture or you need to record it? I mean, how come you can't just see the orb? I mean, I suppose some people can, or how come you can't just hear the voice?
It's like a different frequency level. So the camera lens is able to actually pick something up that your eyes can't see. But the only thing is, we've had cases where people have actually seen orbs with their eyes. And those are very powerful orbs. So, but mostly, just like with the EVPs, you just don't hear the voices. But sometimes you do. And you don't hear the voices, but we pick it. It's just a different frequency level that the camera's picking up on, the recorder's picking up on, and stuff like that. How many people here have been to Preston Castle?
Yep.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Okay, okay. Well,
Yes.
oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. Okay.
The bomb.
Well, HPI actually were the first ones who investigated Preston Castle, believe it or not. You've probably seen Ghost Adventures there. You saw Ghost Hunters there and stuff like that. We actually did the first documentary over there. We did Conversations with a Serial Killer. And the former owner, Shannon, she thought that Richard Trenton Chase, aka the Vampire of Sacramento, was actually incarcerated there. But goodbye, everybody. Okay. So anyway, we learned later that Richard Trenton Chase, aka the Vampire of Sacramento, was never incarcerated there. But we had this British crew that was already over there, and it was such a cool place to investigate. So anyway, we did an investigation over there, and we had 3 female investigators. And the 3 female investigators were walking along, and you can hear with your own ears the ghost saying, "Whores, whores, whores." So anyway, it's like, okay, after that, Ghost Adventures contacted us, Ghost Hunters contacted us. It was so thrilling that we got this deal that was audible with your ears of an entity saying, "Whores." So anyway, that's how Preston Castle, now they're so big and they charge everybody, so anyway. But anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. You guys have anything you want to ask before I close it down? Nobody? Okay. And also, too, if you have any paranormal experiences here at the Gypsy Shack, I would love to hear about it because I would love to place you guys in my next article and place you in my book. So if you had any paranormal experiences, please see me. And if you want to know something about HPI, we have some newspapers over here. These are a couple of my books and stuff like that. So the article will be in my 15th book. So thank you, everybody, for being an attentive crowd and everything else. So thank you, thank you, thank you.